I shaved my head by the way. Yellow. Hey guys, it's Becky, and it's currently fucking 4 a.m. and I was bored, so I just started filming. Let's just start. I'm reacting to some my story animated shit, whatever. The video we are watching today is called "A Strange Man Claims He's My Husband. He Knows Everything." Okay, let's go.
I just started college and everything was going well. I'd been saving since leaving high school 2 years ago, and finally, here I was. What could go wrong? Well, a lot, apparently. On my second day as a freshman, I got a call from my mom.
A call from your mom is very normal. Don't be embarrassed.
She was crying when I picked up. Mom, come on, I've only been gone like 2 days.
Wait, was your mom crying? Sis, she be looking poor. But wait, I'm concerned. What room is she in, though?
Pull yourself together. Arya, sweetie, I've got cancer. You need to come home.
Oh, this bitch got cancer. I'm not trying to be rude or anything. Oh, what is that?
And just like that, all my dreams of becoming a doctor were shattered in one single phone call.
Oh, she wanted to become a doctor.
I packed up and left without even saying goodbye to my new dorm mates. My mom needed the money I'd saved to pay for the treatment, and I needed to get home to her quickly.
So, her mother needed the money she saved for the treatment. Okay. So I'm getting kind of mixed up. Her mom be looking like she was at like the college room, whatever. But she's really the rich girl. Anyway, so
there was one seat left next to a pretty snobby-looking woman. I sat
Wait, I am very confused. Who's the mother, but she's not. I am confused.
down and watched as she actually moved away from me, like I smelled bad or something. She was on the phone and speaking really loudly, complaining about having to ride the train with a bunch of peasants, and that it was just unacceptable that the private jet wasn't available. On her other side was a girl who must have been her daughter. She looked
Oh, girl. Riding the train with a bunch of peasants.
upset, and the woman kept telling her to shut up and stop being a baby.
There, so you're gonna tell the child to shut up and stop being a baby. Only I can tell it to my babies. Layla's my baby and Honey's my baby.
Suddenly, the train started making weird noises,
Oh, sister gonna die.
and the girl started crying. I thought her mom was gonna slap her. Everyone started shifting in their seats, and I was worried we were about to break down or something. I've no idea why, but the snobby mom stood up and used this opportunity to go and use the bathroom.
Oh, sis, she's gonna die in the bathroom and everything. She said, sis, I need to go to the bathroom while this shit is happening. I had enough of this shit.
Her daughter was seriously freaking out now, and I felt so bad for her. I slid over to her and gave her a hug, and that was when an explosion happened.
Explosion thing.
The last thing I remember was the girl I was hugging, screaming, and then darkness. The next
sis,
moment,
you look
I was
like a whole
waking up in
mummy
my
right now.
hospital bed, wrapped
Oh my god, she looks like a whole ass mummy right now. I'm not even joking. She looks like a fucking mummy.
in bandages from head to toe. Every part of my body felt broken, and when I tried to move, I wanted to scream in pain, but I couldn't even speak. It felt like there was something lodged in my throat. My voice was gone. I could hear people screaming all around me, and then a man's voice said, "Do whatever you can to save her, please." I didn't know who it was. I felt so confused. I tried to get the nurse's attention.
Oh, I think she's gonna die now. Wait, what the fuck does that have to do with a strange man claims to be your husband? Huh? Wait, is the doctor her husband, or did she get married like she was the hospital? I don't really know.
But she just fed me medicine to calm me down. I couldn't even see, and the dizziness was crazy. I must have fallen asleep, because after a while I woke up, and I had no clue how much time had passed. There was a doctor standing over me, and he said my vocal cords were severely damaged, and he didn't know when or if I'd ever speak again. Most of my bandages were off now, and I was able to sit up. Finally, I was being released, and I couldn't wait to see my mom. But where was she? There was a man waiting for me by the door, and I tried to ask the doctor who he was, but of course I couldn't speak. He took me by the hand and led me out to a car. I assumed he was driving me home.
What? Child. Anyway, so she woke up, couldn't talk, and now this strange man is taking her to a whole adventure that, welcome home, bitch. Like, sis, I am really confused right now.
To my mom, but instead we pulled up outside a huge mansion, and then he said, "Welcome home." What? I didn't understand. This guy was stinking rich. Who was he? He handed me a key and showed me to a room and told me that this was my room now. Then he looked at me and told me not to expect him to want to stay in the same room anymore. Then...
Apparently, y'all are married now, so...
What was he planning to do to me? I walked towards a door which led to the bathroom, and for the first time since the accident, I looked at myself in the mirror. I slowly peeled the bandages off and was horrified when I saw my face.
Me when I see myself in a whole ass mirror, to be honest.
I looked nothing like myself. What had they done to my face? I mean, don't get me wrong, I looked good. I looked pretty. But I didn't even resemble my old self in the slightest.
Don't be dramatic, it's only some plastic.
I started to panic and decided all I needed was to call my mom. I ran out of the room and down the hall to find the man who'd brought me here. He was sitting on a big sofa, and I tried to use sign language to ask him for a phone, but he didn't move. He just sat there, grinning at me. Then he laughed and said, "After what happened, there's no way you'll be using a phone again."
Anyway, so, like, this shit is getting confusion. I'm getting very confused
Then he
right
shooed
now
me
about
off like
this
I was a
whole
dog or
thing.
something.
What
But
the
I
fuck
refused to
happened?
budge. I kept staring at him, and then he said that even though I'd been through a traumatizing accident and had to undergo lots of surgery, he wasn't going to forgive me for what I'd done. I stared at him, and then he continued and said the only reason he was letting me live here was because I protected our daughter when the train accident happened.
Wait, maybe he thinks that she's a woman that was a spoiled ass bitch.
I grabbed a pen and paper and wrote, "I don't understand where I am or who you are. My name is Arya, and I need to call my mom ASAP."
He thinks she's a woman.
I handed him the piece of paper, and he laughed. Then, as he ripped it up, he turned to me and said, "Nice try, but you can't fool me."
You can't fool him. I think he's drunk. Whatever, but anyways, let's continue.
I started screaming, but again, no sound came out. I was hysterical, begging him to give me a phone, but instead he just sat me down and then called a doctor. I got up and stormed to the front door. I needed to leave this place, but suddenly the security guard stopped me and forced me to go back inside. Later that night, a doctor arrived and examined me and said I was clearly very distressed after such a traumatic experience, and that perhaps I was having some memory loss. And so it continued. For the next few months, I was under constant supervision from a whole bunch of doctors and psychiatrists. I never gave up on trying to get to the phone. But after sneaking out of my room one night to try and find the man's phone, he caught me, and after that, my room was locked at night.
He don't locked her in. What about this window there? Can he just jump out the window? Just like, it doesn't look that high. Like, jump from a window.
I felt like a prisoner. I gave up all hope of ever getting out of there, and had to constantly listen to the man telling me how I was a cheater and how he'd never get over me having an affair with his best friend.
Affair with his best friend? Oh my god. What the fuck is happening? I'm so fucking confused.
One day, he was sitting next to me, telling me how awful I was, and I was feeling really frustrated. I opened my mouth to try and shout, and suddenly, sound came out. My voice was back. It sounded weird at first, but slowly it came back, and the man said I sounded different, and that I should shut up and stop speaking, but I couldn't stop. I asked him to tell me what had happened to me exactly. He said we were supposed to meet at the train station so we could sign the divorce papers, after he found out that I had cheated on him with...
Sign the divorce paper. Bitch, why are you keeping a hostage if you want a fucking divorce? Bitch, just ask her for a divorce. She ain't your fucking wife. This bitch ain't married.
His best friend. But then an accident happened. The railway line was...
Okay. We are going through a lot of this video right now. And video has been recording for like 2 minutes right now. Oh my god, this is so fucking confusing.
Broken, and it caused the train to slide off the tracks and hit the subway wall. 5 people had died.
5 people had died. Rest in pieces.
And the rest were seriously hurt, especially after the fire started. He then told me that if I hadn't been holding his daughter, it would have been impossible to recognize who I was from the way I looked after the accident. Suddenly, it clicked. The snobby woman next to me on the train had been his wife, so she must have died. And everyone thought
His wife died.
I was her. But this was insane. I tried to tell him my story, that I wasn't his wife, but he didn't believe me, and honestly, I was exhausted by it all now. He said that he was done with my lies, and that I had to face up to the truth of what I'd done, instead of pretending to be someone else. It was hopeless. But then, as soon as he went away on a work trip, I stole some of his money, and I gave $400 to one of his house servants in exchange
This
for a
bitch
short
stealing
phone call.
now.
Luckily,
Sis,
he
go
agreed to
for it.
let me
Steal
use
the
his
money.
phone for 5
Pretend
minutes.
like this is your
I
sugar
tried to call
daddy.
my mom, but it
Pretend.
just rang out. I tried again and again, and then tried every other number I knew by heart. I needed to speak to someone. Anyone. Finally, after almost giving up, my aunt picked up. When I said it was Arya speaking, she started wailing. Then she asked if it was a prank and said Arya had died months ago in a train accident. But I told her it was me, and even sang a song to her that she always sang to me when I was a kid. She burst into tears and said everyone thought I was dead. Then I learned the truth. That
Arya died, bitch. Aaron.
I'd been presumed dead for 8 months now. 8 months! I was so shocked. But all I could think about was my mom. I asked to speak to her, and the line went quiet. "Auntie?" I said.
I believe
I knew.
her.
I
She's
heard the
dead now.
sobs, and I knew. She'd died. My mom had died. And all because of me. After she heard of my death, she refused treatment and said what was the point in living when she'd lost her daughter? She might as well die too. And that's what happened. While I was sobbing on the phone, my greedy aunt started telling me that the courtroom had transferred all of my mom's inheritance to her, since they thought I was dead. However, dear, I don't think that giving you any of that money back will be an option, because my husband and I... But I just hung up the phone. I'd never liked that woman anyway, or any of my relatives for that matter. They were the exact opposite of my mom. She didn't even care to ask where I was. I had no one left in this world. I had nowhere to go and no one to help me. I was all alone. And so I decided to stay in this house with my alleged husband and pretend to get my memory
You
back
got
and
mad
admit that I'm
about
his
that,
wife
like,
until I figured out
child.
what to do.
Anyway,
Every day
so
after he left for work, I'd sneak into his office and steal some money. And then in the evenings, I'd act like everything was normal. I'd cook dinner and we'd sit together and try and be civil. And slowly but surely, it felt like we really were married. His name was Nathan, and he began to trust me a little more every day. He let me go out, gave me a phone, and he wasn't mean to me anymore. When I had enough money to leave, I decided to stay for a little while longer because I kind of liked his company. So I kept putting off my escape, and then before I knew it, another 6 months had passed. I knew I was doing something wrong by living this fake life, but to be honest, I couldn't leave because I developed feelings for Nathan.
I want to beat the fuck out
I
of you,
started
bitch.
doing little things to make it up to him. I didn't want him to think that I cheated on him. I had to really pretend to be a good wife to make him love me, and it was working. I left him love letters near his bed in the morning. I made him breakfast, and I showed him how much I cared about him.
Oh, shit, that level. I don't fucking know how to talk today, bitch. Develop the feelings for him.
Until one night, he invited me to stay in his room with him.
Oh. Bitch, they're gonna have sex.
And I felt like I was living the best days of my life. I discovered I was pregnant.
She fucking pregnant.
I felt so guilty and realized I had to tell Nathan the truth. I was scared, but I sat with him one day and told him. Nathan was shocked. He looked so sad and it broke my heart. He said he should have realized sooner that I wasn't his wife.
Oh, now he's getting it. Oh, this bitch started catching feelings for him. Then he's like, bitch, I messed up. You ain't my wife.
And that this was a huge mess up. I didn't know what to say, so I packed and left. And he didn't stop me. I didn't tell him I was pregnant because I knew it would bring him even more pain. I used the rest of the money I'd taken from him. I decided that I was going to start a new life with my baby.
He's gonna start a new life. But what if he finds out, though?
But a week later, Nathan was knocking at my door. I've no idea how he found
Okay, Nathan was knocking at this bitch's door. So, child, anyway, so let's continue.
Me, but he stood there and told me he loved me and that he couldn't forget that it had been me holding his daughter in the accident.
Love story. This
That
is
it was
so
me
cute
who'd
though
saved
now.
her, not her mother. He then said that it was true that I wasn't who he thought I was, but he
Yeah,
couldn't deny that he'd never...
No, that's not the fucking Gucci thing. That's not the fucking period shit. If you think that there was a fucking bad bitch, that's not the Gucci gang shit or the period shit. Again, and fucking again. He clearly doesn't know this fucking Gucci gang shit. That's period shit vibes.
felt this happy in his life. And then he got down on one knee and asked if I wanted to be his wife. I smiled and said, yes. This man had saved me. Without him, I'd have no one. I told him I was pregnant, and then I showed him a photo of what I looked like before the accident. And he grinned and
Well, guess getting married.
said, our baby is going to be a real cutie. So now I'm going to have a baby, and I'm going back to college to continue my studies. Plus, I have a fiance. It's been quite a journey, but I guess it all worked out in the end.
Her mother died, and this bitch sounds very happy about it.